I just lost myself and I was like, who am I? 9 times out of 10, they're just going to be like, do an STI test. And it comes back clear every single time. That's it, really. Yeah. Ask questions like, is your boyfriend quite big? And things like that. Later.
Hold on. Let's just backtrack a moment.
Yeah.
This gynaecologist with a special interest in endometriosis said, you know what, I think everything you're describing does sound like endo, but she didn't, at that point, want to investigate. Why the hell not?
Then I started experiencing tearing, vaginal tearing. And so this was a new type of pain. It was at the entrance, it stung, it bled, and it just never healed. You know, in these quick appointments, you get like 10 minutes or whatever. It's quick, get your knickers off, lie down on the table, we'll have a look. Okay, here's what's going on. And I was just sent on my way with a lube prescription.
Stop.
Yeah.
A lube prescription?
Yeah, medical grade.
Holy shit. Medical grade? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I feel like I knew deep down when I heard the word endometriosis that it was what I had. I was running out of lessons, I was running out of the lunch queue, I don't know how I did it.
Anishka, welcome to the Girl Chat. It is so nice to have you here. You look gorgeous.
No, so do you. Thank you so much for having me.
You look so kind of glam and just like ready.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
In my tracksuit, in my knitwear.
I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
I want to start with the first 10 years. You had symptoms for well over 10 years. What were those symptoms?
Yeah, so they first started when I was about 13, and the first kind of symptom that I had was my periods. So my periods were incredibly heavy and incredibly painful. And then this eventually did progress. At the time, I was also having really bad fatigue and migraines and a lot of nausea and just general like tummy issues. But I think particularly the fatigue and the migraines were just kind of brushed off as, oh, she's a teenager, she's going to sleep a lot, she's going to be tired. It was always exam stress. You're going through GCSEs, then it was A-levels, then it was uni. So that's why you're getting all these headaches and migraines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then it kind of progressed. So when I'd moved schools and I was 16, 17, 18 for my A-levels, I started having like more daily symptoms rather than around my periods, which my periods, by the way, I was having 2 a month. So I was coming on every 2 to 3 weeks. They usually lasted around 10 days. So I was losing a lot of blood.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'd had the same hairdresser for quite a few years. And he had actually said to me when I was 14, you know, you're losing your hair. And I was like, no way. Like, I'm Asian, babes. Like, I've always had long, thick, curly hair. I was like, there's no way I'm losing my hair. Like, I would notice that. And then he was right. I moved schools. And when I was about 17, I looked back at pictures and I was like, oh my God, like, I've lost so much hair.
Oh my God.
And it was coming out in clumps at that point, which is why I kind of noticed it. So went back to the GP again. And at this point, so like when I first started my periods, I went to the GP. I'd already been given the delay pill, northisterone, and mefenamic acid and naproxen. So she kind of revisited that and said, you still having heavy periods? I said, yeah. Okay, well, we'll do a blood test, check if you're anemic, which I was.
I
So
mean,
then
obviously, 2 bleeds a month.
Yeah.
Like, who isn't going to be anemic when they're losing that much blood every month?
And from my very first period, which I actually got, this is the whole story, I actually got it on a school trip. So it was a new school that I just joined. And we went on a school trip, like a weekend away in Wales.
Yeah.
And I was bleeding through the pads, which I had them stacked up in my knickers, like every half an hour. So yeah, that was my very first period, and the teachers knew that because of it, I wasn't allowed to participate in a lot of the activities, couldn't do any of the water sports. The whole reason we went there was to climb Mount Snowdon, and I couldn't do that. I was the only person that sat out. So that was really difficult because they said, you're not going to last like 3 hours or whatever. There's only a toilet at the top. So I had to sit out.
That's just insane though. Like, you were stacking probably like the thickest pads you could get, right?
Yeah.
Like on top of each other.
Yeah.
And every half an hour,
Yeah.
you would have to go and change. Like, that's
absolutely
amounts
flooding.
Oh my God.
And so the teachers knew that, but what I think is really important, what I talk about a lot, is the education in schools, not only for kids and girls, but also for the teachers to be able to recognise these signs, spots these signs, so that they can, you know, no one told my mum that and said, oh, I think there might be something going wrong. None of them suggested there might have been something going on with me.
No one talked to your mum?
No, I don't think they had tampons. And I remember they didn't have a great range of pads. which is crazy. I hadn't taken anything because this was my first period. I wasn't super close to my mum either. We never had that talk. I didn't have things at home. So I was just using their stuff, and I was obviously going through it at a crazy rate.
Yeah.
But yeah, none of the like teachers, specifically the female teachers that sat out with me, they didn't have a conversation with me.
And this is secondary school, right?
Yeah, so year 7 and 8.
I mean, like, there's plenty of girls before that age that started their period, right? So,
exactly.
Like, primary school is getting younger and younger, and, like, you can definitely be caught more off guard when we're talking about girls that are, like, 8 years old.
Yeah.
But, like, 13, like, you're very much in the midst of the range of when you can start your period.
Yeah. So I just assumed it was normal. I felt like it can't be, but I just assumed it was normal. And, yeah, so that happened, and then... yeah, became anemic, so I was put on iron medication. I was also put on the pill. I was tested for lactose intolerance and celiac.
Hold on, did they link the heavy bleeding to
This is what I mean. They never really put 2 and 2 together, but I think it's just because of the other symptoms I was having, like nausea and things. They were like, which wasn't helped by the iron medication because I was never given like any omeprazole or anything with any of these medications to protect my stomach, like mefenamic acid and naproxen. You need omeprazole or lansoprazole or something to protect your stomach. I was never given those. So obviously over the years of taking it, my stomach was becoming more sensitive. I was having bad reactions. So then they thought, oh, it might be lactose intolerance or celiac. Yeah, there was so many appointments, and it's all a bit of a blur for me, to be honest, because I was just like going back and forth, and I moved around a lot when I was a child. So went to different schools and had different GPs. But yeah, so that was it really. Was on the iron medication. It brought my iron levels back up, and my fatigue, nothing really improved. Then I stopped taking it because they said, you're having a bad reaction. I was having a lot of nausea, vomiting after food. I was in hell, to be honest with you. Like throughout my A-levels, every single day I had a sick bowl with me. I was running out of lessons. I was running out of the lunch queue. I don't know how I did it. I really struggled with my A-levels. But yeah, it was really tough. And I'd lost a lot of my hair, which was like a key feature of mine, like a big thing of my identity.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was hell.
I mean, as a teenage girl, you're on the longest list of painkillers and prescriptions. You're running out of lessons and being sick, and like your body's almost just feeling like it's out of control.
Yeah.
What does that do to you as a teenage girl?
I think as well the fact that I was changing schools and things and having to adjust friendship groups, I never felt like I really fit in. I had really low self-esteem because my hair was thinning and coming out in clumps, and I started wearing extensions. My self-esteem was just in the gutter. Every single day, the fatigue, the headaches, there was so much stress. It's not only physical, it's mental as well. So yeah, my mental health was down the drain, to be honest. I hated going to school. I felt so insecure all the time. I felt like everyone was talking about me, laughing about me, particularly boys. It was really, really difficult.
Did you get comments? Did you have people say things to you?
Yeah. So when I got my first period when I was on the school trip in Wales, we did abseiling. I don't know if you know what that is when you go over the cliff. Yeah.
So you kind of jump off the edge and then
throw
yourself down a little bit.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
And at that time we were wearing like our black leggings that were definitely a little bit sheer, and the granny pants at that age. And obviously I'd stacked all these pads up in my granny pants. So then that, in a harness, was cinching me in all the wrong places, and I essentially looked like I was wearing a nappy. And so, like, half of the group had already gone down before me, and then I was coming down the cliff edge, and I could hear people laughing. And then when I got down, one of the girls had told me all the boys were, like, giggling and making jokes about your nappy and stuff like that. So, so it was really difficult because, again, it was, like, new school, trying to fit in, just felt like I was always the laughing stock, which I know is not the case now. Yeah. These people won't remember. But when you're that age, everything seems so deep to you. Like, you think it's the end of the world. You think that this is always going to be talked about and you're going to be the hot gossip forever. And it's not. There's always so many things that go on. And, like, after a few days, there's someone else. Like, there's another bit of gossip going around.
It does matter at that point, right? Because, like, those teenage years are where you start to build your identity. You start to understand who you are in relation to others and what kind of friendships you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, sat here looking at you now, your hair is stunning.
Thank you.
Like, absolutely.
It's been a long process.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. But I can understand, because I spoke to another lady, Keisha, who's from South Asian heritage, and she talked about losing her hair as well, and the massive link between that heritage and your identity.
Yeah.
It's not the same in other cultures. It's really important.
Yeah, exactly. And I did struggle with that a lot, because I kind of did whitewash myself a lot at school for different reasons, and I started straightening my hair and chemical straightening and all these things. So like there was a lot during that process, and eventually it was lockdown. Actually, I cut it all off and I just started again and started to embrace my natural curls. It's a long process of like reconnecting with your identity, especially if you're from a mixed race background, and you know, like my mum's English, my mum's white, so it's like it's a lot to go through at that age, on top of everything else that you're going through, just normal teenage hormonal struggles, friendships, boys, like all that stuff.
In terms of having that mixed race heritage, did that make conversations different, harder, easier at home when it comes to what you were living with and all your symptoms?
To be honest, so my dad's Mauritian, so he's East African, but originally from South India, our lineages. So I didn't really talk to my dad about stuff. I didn't talk to my mum either. We weren't super close.
Okay.
But my dad and I, because we moved around, he like worked away and stuff. So a lot of the time he didn't live at home. But yeah, it was just me and my mum a lot of the time. But she actually is the more like private, conservative one, who we never had that open, close relationship. We do now.
Yeah.
It's so much more different now. But it's funny actually, because when I started going through the diagnosis process, my dad was the one that was like saying the word period openly and like talking to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, progressive king. He's always been like really progressive, to say, for the background that he's from, which is really nice.
Amazing.
Not everyone has that. But yeah, I definitely wish that in general we were a more open family. I think it's a generational thing as well, regardless of what culture you're from.
Yeah.
Open conversations with your kids. My mum had just left a pack of pads in my wardrobe, at the back of my wardrobe, for me to discover on my own. And so I don't think I told her that I started my period for a bit. Oh, wow. And yeah, I would always hide it, and yeah, it wasn't great, but luckily we have a much better relationship now, and I'm really open with everything.
Yeah. And it's never too late to build that kind of relationship, is it?
No.
Even if it doesn't start off that easy or come that naturally, you can always put in the work, and it sounds like it's completely different now, which is amazing.
100%. I think that's something that a lot of people might resonate with, that when you're a child, you have quite a difficult relationship with your parents, but when you get into adulthood, you start to grow closer, especially to your mum or even your dad. Like, I think that's really beautiful, and luckily I've been able to do that, and like I never would have thought that we were as like in a good place and as close as we are now, which is really nice.
No, that's amazing. So you went to many, many GPs, you had many appointments, and you had an enormous amount of prescriptions.
Yeah.
Something that you've been very open about, and you said you're happy to talk about, that is really personal and really intimate to a lot of people, is one of the symptoms for you later on, I believe, was painful intercourse.
Yeah. So we kind of briefly touched on like my first, say, 5 years of symptoms, from 13 to 18, let's say. And then I went to university, still having the same symptoms. I was now on the pill, so that, although looking back, it should have been investigated further. I was like, great at the time. I'm not having these 10-day long periods twice a month. I can control it, have it once a month and whatever. Now I was in a relationship and I started experiencing painful intercourse. So I pretty much just thought it was quite a normal thing to go through. But again, not having that open relationship with my mum or anyone really to talk about these things. It's a very taboo topic.
What does the pain feel like?
There's different types of pain. Initially, it just started off with deep discomfort. Kind of feels like someone's poking around, like gonna rip through the front of my stomach or through the back towards my bowel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can identify with that. Always, when I had it, it always felt like someone was stabbing me.
Yeah.
It was literally like a knife going through the vagina, either up into like my belly button or back towards my bum.
Yeah, exactly. And then it wasn't until I met my current partner now, so about over 3 years ago now, I had the same issue, but then I started experiencing vaginal tearing. Wow. And so this was a new type of pain. It was at the entrance, it stung, it bled, and it just never healed.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so throughout uni, I was going back and forth again and trying different contraceptives and whatever, not really getting anywhere. And then I met him and this was an issue and he said, you really need to get this looked at. The thing is, whenever you bring up the topic of sex, painful sex, or any symptoms around sex that you're having, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to be like, do an STI test. And it comes back clear every single time. That's it, really.
Yeah. In the previous relationship and the current one, what does it do to the relationship for both of you when you're having something as complicated as sex is becoming really painful?
Yeah. It obviously lowers your self-esteem, which I only realised recently.
Okay.
You feel like you're not fulfilling that part of the relationship. And there's ways around it, and it's not true, but it definitely damages your self-esteem and what you feel like you're bringing to the relationship. You feel like you're dysfunctional, to be honest. And I think as a woman, that can be really damaging as well.
Did you guys talk about it in either relationship? Did you have conversations, or was it difficult to kind of have in-depth conversations about it?
I did in both, but in this relationship, it's been a lot more productive. I've got my diagnosis throughout this relationship. Also, my current partner, his mum had stage 4 endo. She had multiple surgeries. She had a hysterectomy, so she gets it. And so that was another thing that we were able to talk about, and he kind of already understood it, but on a whole new level. And I've really had like a whole new level of support there.
Yeah, that's a special connection.
Yeah.
That's a really special connection.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to the GP and you have an enormous amount of courage and bravery to bring up painful sex. What does the GP say in response to that?
So yeah, it was the normal, let's take a swab, STI test, clear. And let's have a look at your cervix with a speculum. I don't think they could ever see my cervix because I was in so much pain during the examinations. I think she even tried the baby speculum, like the smaller one, and still couldn't get it into view. Okay. But I was just in so much pain that she did like prescribe some creams to help, and said, come back if it doesn't work. It never did. So then eventually she referred me to gynaecology. So after, 7 years, I was finally referred to gynaecology. And that was just terrible.
Tell me about the gynaecology appointment.
I went to see this gynaecologist. It was like the first one I could see. And at the time I thought, he's really like nice and bubbly and a little bit camp, and he's probably trying to make me like feel really comfortable. Okay. But now I look back and I'm like, that was highly unprofessional. So he examined me and essentially just said that I'm a petite gal. And asked questions like, is your boyfriend quite big, and things like that. Yeah. So that was it. He just said, I think it's just your anatomy, which was interesting because when he examined me, he said this tearing issue. He said, I only ever see it with women who have recently given birth vaginally, understandably.
I can understand that, yeah.
Or menopausal women, because your estrogen levels drop, you get dryness, you get thinning of the skin. He said that's exactly what you've got. So I was like, well, are you not concerned that I've got something going on hormonally? Because I do have like these other symptoms.
And you're not postnatal.
No.
And you're not menopausal.
No. Exactly. And he was like, no, not concerned. I don't think anything else is going on.
And did you take all your symptoms to him of like the heavy bleeding? Did that come up at all? Or was it mainly the tearing and the painful sex that you were talking about?
It was mainly the tearing.
Okay.
I did mention that I had other symptoms, but in these quick appointments, you get like 10 minutes or whatever. It's quick, get your knickers off, lie down on the table, we'll have a look. Okay, here's what's going on. And I was just sent on my way with a lube prescription. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
A lube prescription?
Yeah, medical grade.
Holy shit. Medical grade? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, 2. In fact, it wasn't 1, it was 2. He said these 2 really work together. Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
So he just thought your issues that were causing enormous amounts of pain that you'd have a referral for were just because you weren't using enough lube?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, not sure about this. And he did say there's a procedure we can do. I think there's one called a Y-plasty, one called a Z-plasty. They're slightly different. They essentially cut out, you go under GA, they cut out the scar tissue and they sew you back up. But with that, there is a risk that you're creating more scar tissue, the whole thing could reopen. Yeah. So I was like, I don't really want to go down that route yet. I'm 21, 22. Mm-hmm. So I said, I'll try the creams, the lubes, whatever. Come back if it's not working. Of course, I went back to him again. I don't know why I even bothered going back for a second appointment.
I mean, because you needed help, right? Like, you deserved help. You're 21 years old, experiencing horrendous symptoms.
Yeah. And the thing is, at that age, I talk about this a lot, you don't have the self-advocacy skills when you need them. Mm-hmm. It's like after your diagnosis, after you've connected through the online community or whatever, you build up those skills and you get the education and the resources you need. But we needed that when we were kids in school. We needed that when we were fighting to be listened to by GPs. Yeah. So
I'm nearly 30 and I now wish I could go back and be like, oh, I know what I'm doing now. Like, let me go back 10 years ago and redo this whole journey because, like, I would ace it. But at the time, you're, like, floundering, right?
Exactly. And you just freeze when they say things like that, shocking things to you. You just go, okay. And you're like, that's normal. And then you go and tell someone and they're shocked and you're like, oh, I should have said something. But, yeah, so I went back and he talked about this procedure again and I said I need some time to think about it. I don't really want to do it. I want to see if this situation does resolve itself. Mm-hmm. And then I got a letter through the post one day. I was booked in for pre-op.
No.
Yeah. So I just got back from holiday and it was a weekend. It was bank holiday weekend, bank holiday Monday. Mm-hmm. Pre-op was on the Tuesday. So I was like...
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so I tried ringing just in case anyone answered, but they weren't open. So I went to this pre-op on the Tuesday and told them, the nurse was there, I had it, but I said to her, look, just so you know, I never agreed to have this procedure. I don't want to have it. I wanted to come back and see the surgeon again or see someone else and get a second opinion. And she said, he's not here. And she actually said, he's retiring. You'll be the last one on his surgery list. So I was like, oh, great. I feel like I'm just getting ticked off the list and then that's it. But I wouldn't be able to, like, see him again or...
Hold on. He's going to supposedly do the surgery which you haven't even given your consent or agreed to. And then he's going to retire and not even follow up with you or whatever.
Yeah, I assume so. I don't know if I would have had a follow-up, but she said, you're the last person on his surgery list. And then he's retiring.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I was like, no, not comfortable with this. But she said, let's do the pre-op anyway, just so we can keep your stuff on file in case you change your mind. That was fine. It was quick. We did that. And then I made it clear I didn't want to have it, went home. And that was it, I think, as far as I can remember. I would always, like, pretty much go home and cry after these appointments, as you do, because you just feel like you're getting nowhere. Yeah. And I told my mum at this point, I didn't tell her all the details because I wasn't close enough with her, but she knew that I was having appointments again. And I said, look, there's stuff with my periods and everything. It's like daily pelvic pain now. I'm getting all these other issues. It's getting worse. I think there's something going on. I think it's endometriosis, but the gynaecologist, I said, he didn't listen to me. They booked me in for this procedure. I said, I don't feel comfortable. And she said, luckily, thank my parents, huge privilege. They said, you have private health insurance through us. So if you think there's something going on, go and see a gynaecologist privately and just get it sorted.
What blows my mind, literally was talking about this the other day, is the amount of thousands of women that are desperate to have laparoscopies, excisions, surgeries, so many procedures that they literally have to battle for. Yeah. And the ridiculous irony that this guy put you down for a procedure even when you didn't consent to it. Because, I mean, every procedure costs money, right? Like that pre-op would have cost money and time.
Exactly.
Can you describe emotionally, mentally, what it does to you to feel like you haven't been listened to time and time and time again?
It is just like a knockback every single time. It's like someone is just kicking you down a step each time. And every single time you doubt yourself more, you believe yourself less, and you just start to think, God, this is in my head. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just, I genuinely believed. I feel like I knew deep down when I heard the word endometriosis that it was what I had. But I was like, this is something that I'm just going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. I never thought I was actually going to get diagnosed. I truly believed it's just one of these weird things that my body does. And that's it. I'm just going to have to live with it.
Did you have any hope
prior to my mum saying go and see someone privately, no, I thought that was it. Genuinely, after that appointment, I was like, that's it. I'm never going to get diagnosed. But when my mum said that, I did have a bit of hope because I knew from stories that, oh, you'll be seen quicker, you're more likely to be listened to because you're paying at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I felt really bad that I even had to do that and that there's so many people and women in these situations that can't afford to do that. I hate it so much. But I thought it sat there, they paid for it, might as well make a claim. I've never have done. I don't think any of us have, so.
Absolutely. And you doing that doesn't take away from the rights of any other woman. But of course, the level of unfairness is just catastrophic. And it's so wrong when healthcare literally becomes something that is defined by how much money you do or don't have. Mm-hmm. We're taking a quick break to say thank you to today's sponsor, BU Period. When it comes to women's health, I'm obsessed with all things holistic and natural. My go-to product is BU's pain relief patches. The combination of menthol and eucalyptus is pure bliss when an endo flare hits. Whether it's pelvic pain, back pain, leg pain, or anything else, they give me the instant and long-lasting relief I need. And you can even set up your own subscription so that you never run out of natural pain relief. If you want to get your hands on BU's patches, you can find the link in the show notes. And make sure you use the code INJAP10 to get your exclusive listener discount. Now let's get back to the girl chat. Okay, so you go private. Mm-hmm. Is this how you get your endometriosis diagnosis?
Yeah, so I basically had it within a year. So went private, saw a gynaecologist who I knew had a clinical interest in endometriosis. Mm-hmm. The only reason it took a year was because she did say to me, okay, based on your symptoms, it does sound like endometriosis, but upon physical examination, there was never anything wrong. Apart from that, I was in a lot of pain and they could never really get a speculum in and check my cervix. Mm-hmm. And she kept saying, I don't want to put you through XYZ. So she said, I don't want to put you through any scans yet or anything, so let's switch your pill back to microgynon, because she said Regevidon, every time a woman comes in, she complains she's on Regevidon, and when we switch it back to microgynon, there's less side effects. She also prescribed me Buscopan because my left ovary, I would get a lot of this like stitch twinging pain. She said, that's just your ovary spasming, take some Buscopan, that'll help with that. And I was prescribed again mefenamic acid and tranexamic acid. Again, no omeprazole. And she said, come back in 3 months if nothing's changed. Of course, I went back 3 months later.
Hold on. Let's just backtrack a moment.
Yeah.
This gynecologist, with a special interest in endometriosis, said, you know what? I think everything you're describing does sound like endo. But she didn't, at that point, want to investigate.
Yes.
All that goes through my mind is, why the hell not?
Yeah.
What did you want? I'm like genuinely interested at that point. When she said, not going to do scans yet or whatever, here's a list of prescriptions and we'll change things. At that moment in that time, did that sit okay with you or did you have question marks?
No, I was frustrated. I knew it wasn't going to help because I'd taken like mefenamic acid before. Mm-hmm. I thought, Buscopan, what's that going to do? And usually when I'd have these like flare-ups, I would be out and I wouldn't like carry medication on me or anything. And eventually it would just go away. I'd lie down or whatever. I knew I was going to be back in her office in 3 months. But I was just a very like meek person and I was like, okay, I'll see you back in 3 months. I also didn't exactly know what endometriosis was at that point. Okay. I felt deep down that that's what I had, but I didn't know that it was tissue growing outside, like where it shouldn't. I genuinely thought it's just a label for like bad periods and stuff.
Okay.
I didn't know you'd have to have surgery. I didn't know it could be seen on a scan. So I didn't understand what the diagnosis process was. So I was just like, okay, I trust you. We'll switch it, see if anything's better.
And she didn't have that conversation with you. So she brought up the term, but she didn't kind of provide at that point any further explanation about what it was.
No, not that I can remember. Okay. So yeah, I was back in her office in 3 months. Mm-hmm. And then she said, okay, well, we'll do an ultrasound first. So I don't want to put you through an MRI. We did the ultrasound, came back completely clear. Then she said, I don't want to put you through surgery yet. Let's do an MRI. Mm-hmm. The MRI showed a distended bladder.
Okay.
Some pelvic free fluid, but this was kind of told to me that it was kind of normal. Mm-hmm. And the main finding was mild thickening of the right uterosacral ligaments, which are the ligaments that hold up your uterus. So and it said suspicious for endometriosis. So I was like, great, it's been seen. Like, that means I'm going to have it. And that was the first glimmer of hope that I had, that I was like, oh, I've definitely got this thing. And then the realisation that I needed surgery. But because of my results, she passed me on to a specialist, and she was a bladder specialist as well. So
is this an endometriosis specialist?
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my God, praise the endo lords.
Yeah, exactly. So had a referral to an endo specialist.
That moment when you got the MRI results and it said endometriosis suspected, you had it in black and white in writing, how did that feel?
It felt like a light bulb had just come on, and like I was finally being listened to, and it wasn't all in my head. It was so nice to feel like it's not in my head. I was terrified of having surgery and then finding nothing. So then to find something on a scan was like, oh, now I know. You can't know for sure, but I was like, now I know that I'm going to have the surgery and it's going to be confirmed. So I felt a lot more positive about going for surgery and not being a waste of time and a waste of money and resources.
Is that how you felt?
Yeah.
That you would be that?
Yeah. If I had gone in, I worried that I would be another one of those stories that they found nothing and I had just wasted everyone's time, and I felt mostly guilty for my parents. Yeah. So
because of the support that they'd given?
Yeah. And even though they've been paying for the insurance anyway, it's like the fact that I'd made a claim and would even have to tell my dad and tell my wider family I'm having surgery. It's such a big thing. And then if it wasn't found, everyone around me would be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, and you've just made this whole thing for what? Like I was making a big deal out of nothing. That's how worried I would feel.
Yeah, that's the fear, right?
Yeah. I think everyone goes through that.
What if I'm crazy?
Yeah.
What if I've made it all up?
Yeah.
What if they're right?
Yeah.
What if I'm imagining the pain, or I've got so used to it that I can't distinguish between what's real and what's not real?
Exactly that.
What did your endometriosis specialist say?
So we just had a quick phone call. I remember her calling me when I was in the gym, actually, and she just said, hi, I'm, and can you tell me a little bit about your symptoms? And I quickly ran through, and she was like, yep, all good. So we can do surgery in like the next few months. Do you want like a normal surgery, like manual surgery with myself, or like the robotic surgery? I didn't know what that was. And I was like, I don't know. And she said, well, I think yours is going to be a mild case based on your scan, so you won't really need the robotic surgery. And that's it. That's all I remember, really. And then...
But she didn't tell you... Was there any conversation about what robotic surgery is versus manual surgery?
No, so I had no idea. I didn't get an explanation of what it was.
How can you pick if you don't know what your two options are?
Yeah.
Like, that's what blows my mind. It's obviously she lives in this world and says those words every single day.
Yeah.
But why would a 21, 22-year-old know the difference between manual and robotic surgery?
And I didn't have the courage at the time to be like, I don't know what that is. And I did feel very rushed in all of these, not all of the appointments, but especially on this phone call. It was a very quick phone call. I didn't have the time really to ask questions. So yeah, that was it. And I was booked in for surgery.
And how did it go? And how did you feel afterwards?
So it went really well. I was in there for about an hour and 20 minutes. She came round afterwards and said, we found stage 1 superficial peritoneal endometriosis along both pelvic side walls, more so on the left. She said, your tubes, your ovaries, your womb, everything is fine. I said, what about my bladder? What about my bowel? She said, bladder, bowel, everything else is fine. It was just your pelvic side walls. So I was like, great. I was completely out of it on anaesthetic. My boyfriend was filming it so that I would remember it. So I didn't ask any questions, really, apart from I said... So obviously with the NHS, it's really difficult. Going private, a lot better, but there was still a lot of disorganisation, poor communication between departments. She said to me, the hospital will book you in for a follow-up. They didn't. So then I had to do that, which meant that my follow-up was a bit delayed, but, in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. But it was just like, you don't want to be dealing with that when you're recovering.
It's intense recovery.
Yeah.
When you've had removal of endometriosis, it's brutal. It's like you've been hit by a truck when you're recovering.
And the first gynaecologist had actually said to me that you'll have this surgery and you'll probably be fine. It's rare that it comes back, especially with a specialist. You're going to be fine. So I was really painted this picture of like, you're going to be fine.
They're going to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And that sadly wasn't the case. So I knew straight away in my recovery that I didn't feel any different.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'd only heard stories of people feeling different straight away, or at least, within 3 months. So I went to my follow-up and she said she didn't check me physically or anything. She just showed me some pictures, which also were only pictures after the excision. I didn't see any before pictures of the endometriosis.
What?
Yeah. I don't want to slate her because she is really, really lovely. And I know that she is a really reputable surgeon, especially for deep infiltrating endo. But yeah, there was just a lot of rushing and a lot of answers that I didn't really get. So she said, no, if you're fine, I don't need to check you. But I said, I'm not feeling any different. And she said, well, you're still healing internally, so give it 3 months. And I did that. And to be honest, I never went back until after a year post-op because I just gave up and I was trying to find other things to help. I still believed, or maybe there's something else going on, or maybe it is in my head. Maybe it's just one of these things I'm going to have to live with.
Did you have excision or ablation surgery?
I had excision.
Okay, manual excision, not robotic.
Correct.
And you're right. There's never any need to be disrespectful or anything like that. And I'm sure this lady has got enormous amount of qualifications and she may have a great reputation. But that doesn't mean even the best endometriosis specialists in the world, the best surgeons in the world, we can always improve. All of us, whatever job we do, we can always be better. We can always improve something. None of us are perfect. So if you felt rushed, if you didn't maybe feel as seen as you should have done, that's valid feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that post-op appointment the way you wanted it to be?
No, I mean, I expected that she would at least check my incisions and things. And she said, no, if you're not concerned, if you think they're healing well and they're not infected, fine. My parents are both nurses. Like, I have grown up with most of my family as nurses. I studied like a medical sort of degree. I knew to look out for signs of infection and how to look after my wounds, but the average person doesn't really know how to. So I think that should be something that should be checked because you hear about post-op infections all the time.
And it takes 5 minutes, less than.
Exactly.
2 minutes to lie someone down to bed and to have a look. Because it was all abdominal, all your scars. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, it wasn't the way I went. I did think at the time, why am I only seeing pictures with chunks of my pelvic walls missing? Like, why am I not seeing any pictures before?
Again, that's standard practice. All the excision surgeries that I've had, they do videos, they do pictures before, during, and after.
Yeah.
Very standard. You're not asking for anything special there.
Right. And I didn't know that at the time, which is really difficult. I felt like it wasn't right, but I hadn't connected with enough people or learned enough about endometriosis and surgeries and things to know that wasn't really normal and that I should have had a bit more information. But yeah, I mean, I was literally in there maybe 2 minutes.
What?
Yeah. Wasn't even in there 5 minutes. And that was it. And she said, if your bladder is still causing you issues, she said, we didn't actually look inside your bladder because the outside, everything else seemed normal. So you will come back and have a camera inside your bladder to check.
Why have you bothered to go in and cut someone up when literally so I know. Oh my God, the level of frustration is just, oh my God, the inner rage, like when I hear things like this.
I know.
You had an MRI, it showed a distended bladder. Clearly there's something not quite right there. You are booked in for surgery. You're going through the whole upheaval of going through general anaesthetic, having someone cut you open.
Yep.
And because it looks okay on the outside, they thought, I'm not going to bother. It's all right. It'll probably be fine. You're already under the procedure and having surgery.
Exactly.
Why the hell wouldn't you check?
Yeah, exactly that. And again, at the time, I was like, I don't think that's right. They should have put a camera up and checked just in case. Because now I'm going to have to waste more time, money and resources going back again on both behalves and having more procedures. Like you say, there was plenty of time to check inside while I was under GA. But no.
How do things lie for you now?
So it was a year post-op in June, and I told myself I would give it a year just to see. And to be honest, things only really got worse. So I'm on the combined pill and I tricycle every 3 months.
Okay.
So I have a withdrawal bleed every 3 months because the monthly ones are still too much.
Okay.
So I had one in May, and that was the lightest, most pain-free thing I've ever experienced. So then I was like, wait, maybe I just needed a year to heal. And then another 3 months came along and I was like, oh no, it compensated for that one. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. On top of that, I just had worsening daily pelvic pain. Nothing was helping. Endobelly. I never really bloated before surgery.
Okay.
But I was having endobelly every single day now. My bladder was still overactive. And then a few months ago, I started having more like bowel issues. So I had a period of constipation. It was about 2 weeks on and off.
Okay.
Sudden diarrhea, a few other weird symptoms going on, feeling generally unwell, and things haven't really felt normal since. Yeah. So then I was like, right, this isn't right. I'm going to go back and see her. Because I'd done all the SAR, the subject access requests for my scans and things. So I had the images, I had the reports. And then I also learned that you could request your notes from surgery, but her handwriting was just completely illegible, so that didn't help.
Okay.
But I was like, I need answers. So I managed to see her again a couple of months ago, a month ago now. And she said, no, I believe you. I think there's still something going on, whether it's endometriosis that's come back, whether it's adenomyosis. She said, I think you've got something going on with your bowel. So she gave me a referral to her bowel colleague. So he not only has the knowledge and does surgeries for all bowel conditions, but also endometriosis. So they work together. He is the bowel surgeon that she works with in a surgery. So he knows how to spot endo. He knows how to remove it. So I'm still waiting to hear from him. Okay. She said he might want to do like a colonoscopy. And then she sent me for another MRI, which I got the result back last week. And that essentially showed everything normal. The only thing is, so I've always had an anteverted uterus, which is pointing towards the front, which is normal.
Okay.
In this MRI, it's tilting to the right as well. So to the forwards, but also tilting towards the right.
Yeah, okay.
That on its own can be completely normal. Is it maybe a new thing alongside my other symptoms? That could be something going on. It might just be stuck to my pelvic wall scar tissue from surgery.
I was going to say, there's adhesions, there's scar tissue. Endo itself is very sticky, so all sorts of reasons. Yeah.
Exactly. I am waiting to have a follow-up with her to discuss what that might mean, what the next steps might be. That's where I'm at right now, physically.
Emotionally,
I'm actually in a lot better place than I was post-op.
Okay.
Because I didn't know anyone at the time that had had surgery and didn't feel any better. All I was surrounded by was positive stories. And I kind of documented my surgery, the day, my recovery on TikTok, and started doing Instagram this year. So then I started connecting with all these women, and now I've heard a few more stories that are like, yeah, I'm in the same position as you. I understand how you feel. So it's not as lonely and isolating and debilitating. So I feel like mentally I'm a lot better. I was really, really down after surgery because although I had like one close friend and my boyfriend's mum who'd had endo, I didn't know anyone that didn't feel any relief whatsoever. And then I started to think, is it in my head? Or is there something else going on? It's just exhausting and draining. All the medical admin, having to do more appointments, more exploring. It's a lot, mentally and physically.
It's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, and you don't get paid for it. You don't get any kind of perks or benefits. It's the shittest full-time job, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So that community's played a huge role for you. I guess it's probably been good and bad for you in some ways. Like the community of, this has changed my life, thank God I've had excision surgery, isolated you and made you feel quite lonely. But then the other side of that community of, I've also struggled, or if I've had surgery and it's not gone the way I wanted. So it's kind of been a bit of a tale of two stories, really.
Yeah, I think because when I was just starting out, all I was surrounded by was positive stories. But overall, I've had such a good experience with the online community. I honestly think it's like saved me because, like I say, even though I knew like 2 people who had endo, I'm now so much more open talking about it with people that I meet and family and friends, and it makes everything so much easier that you don't have to mask in public anymore. People just understand you. They are more accommodating. And also just post-op, I really lost myself for a bit because I felt like endo was affecting all parts of my life. The going out, the drinking. I don't do any of that really anymore. Well, I definitely don't drink anymore, but I go out rarely. And I just felt like my friends didn't understand me a lot of the time. I've lost friendships. Obviously, my sex life, things like that. So it really impacted everything about me. And I just lost myself. And I was like, who am I anymore? I don't know. I'd lost my identity in so many ways. And the online community has helped me rediscover that and actually just accept who I really am. I felt like for a long time I was doing things to please everyone else. I was such a people pleaser. And now I'm so open, being like, yeah, I like being in bed by 9 p.m, doing my colouring book, reading my fairy smut. Like, I like going pottery painting. I like theatre.
Love theatre.
Yeah.
Yes, love that. Theatre girl.
So, like, I'm so much more comfortable with myself being a bit nerdy and a bit quirky and a bit different. All these things that I always felt like weren't cool and I had to hide. But yeah, it's made me just feel like whole again. I've met so many amazing women, girls, had so many like new friendships blossom, and we all understand each other. We don't have to explain. We just get each other. And also just my personality in general, I've become such a more like positive, well-rounded, happy person, confident as well. Like I was such an anxious person. I would never drive 3 hours across the country. I was scared of driving, go to events on my own where I didn't know anyone. Now I'm doing that all the time. Like I never would have believed you if you had told me, oh, in a year or whatever, you'll be driving all around the country, going to events where you don't know anyone and just chatting to people and making connections. So yeah, it's definitely just changed my life and changed me as a person.
Like so many stories, and I include myself in that, the process of getting a diagnosis and living with endo, it takes so much away from you, but in other ways it gives you so much. And you've literally explained that beautifully. Those things that you talked about that you don't do anymore, do you miss any of that? Was there a grieving process for what you've lost?
Yeah, definitely. It took me a long time. I'd already started the grieving process before I got my diagnosis because throughout uni, when you're going out and you're drinking and whatever, I was suffering so much. And my friends just didn't get it. And not that they were really nasty about it, but like they would be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what's wrong with me? And so I always knew that I was going to suffer with the consequences more than my friends. And that was really hard. And I battled for a lot of years with trying to stop drinking because I knew it wasn't good for me mentally and physically. And then finally, when I did get diagnosed, I was like, yeah, that's it. Even before my surgery, I was like, that's it. And I haven't drank for 2 years now. And I've never felt better in myself. I don't have this anxiety about going out and drinking anymore. At the start, I definitely did. Like, if it was a friend's birthday or something, I'd feel the pressure of having to drink. I'd want to, but I didn't. And I found
one of the hardest scenarios, right? That is so hard. And you get those constant questions of like, oh my God, are you not drinking? Or like, oh, what's wrong? Like, you're not having a drink. Why aren't you drinking?
Yeah.
I feel like saying, why are you drinking?
Yeah.
Like, turn it around.
Yeah. And it's like, are you not having fun? Like, is this not really a vibe? And I was like, no, like, babe, I'm a raver. Like, I love going out. But I can do that now without drinking. I actually have a better time. I remember the night and I'm not as tired. I'm not ill the next day or throughout the night. I can go again and again and again. Like, I am a better raver now than I was before. Yeah, I'm going to be in pain and stuff, but like, it is so much better than what it was before. And just the social anxiety of like wanting to hold something in your hand. No one knows whether that's a vodka Coke in your hand or a Coke. Like,
exactly.
No one knows. There are so many great alcohol-free alternatives as well now. It's amazing. And I just love, I love going out even more now. I don't do it as much because like you grow up and everyone moves apart and whatever life, but I enjoy it so much more when I do go out. I have genuine fun where I'm not like caring what people think about me and trying to be cool. I'm genuinely having fun.
And just being you, right? Being your authentic self.
Exactly. It's so much better.
You're very much still in like the depths of your journey in your process, because you're looking at more surgery, and you know you've got a lot of symptoms that haven't been resolved for you, and you're still very much like in the trenches of it. So what are you hoping for in your near future?
It sounds bad, but I was hoping that this MRI showed adenomyosis, and I do not envy anyone who has both conditions, endo and adeno, but deep down I was like, if it could be that, that would be the easiest outcome for me, because I can't do anything apart from hysterectomy, which they're not going to give me at my age anyway. And I could finally leave it alone and be like, okay, it's just that. I can deal with that. I'm doing things that I can to manage lifestyle-wise. I'm doing everything I can. Hormonal treatments, there's nothing else. I can leave it alone and not have to stress about, is there something else going on? If it's endo that's regrown and it's spread, if there's a bowel condition going on like Crohn's or something, that was scary to me. So it sounds awful to say, but people in the community will understand the disappointment you get when you have a scan that doesn't show anything.
It doesn't sound bad. It sounds like the most normal human response. I completely get it. The amount of scans that I've had that I've just felt brokenhearted when I've walked away and been like, oh my God, it literally shows nothing. They're saying I'm completely normal. I totally get that feeling of not wanting to have the condition because you want to live with another condition, but wanting to have it because it's better than that constant unknown of, I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah. It's answers and validation. And then, you know, family or friends might say, oh, you got your MRI back. Oh, that's great. It didn't show anything. I'm like, no, it's not. Because now I have to keep fighting and searching and going to more appointments, and it does just drain the life out of you. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I'm going to speak to this bowel surgeon, and, you know, maybe this colonoscopy will show something else, and that's just something that I'm going to have to deal with. I think I'm a lot more resilient now. I'm like, okay, you kind of just get numb to it. I think sometimes you have to get through it because there's no other choice. You don't have a choice. So it's like, I might as well try and be as positive as possible and do everything I can to get through it and surround myself with good people and things that make me happy. That's not to say that I don't have my negative moments. It's not to say I didn't cry my eyes out when I got my MRI. But like, that's fine and it's normal. But for me, trying to manage my mental health is the only thing that can help.
Yeah.
Because you don't have control over your condition or your health or your situation. All you can control is your mindset.
Yeah.
And you don't always have to have a positive mindset. It's not about that. But it's about gaining control and trying to find the small positives in your everyday.
Yeah.
That makes your life feel whole and happy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than just feeling shit all the time.
Yeah, because it's exhausting, right? No one wants to feel shit all the time. You have the thickest skin created throughout this process because you have to, because you literally go into survival mode. Like, the human spirit is absolutely determined to survive in any situation. So even when you want to curl up in a ball and fall through the floor, you make yourself go to that appointment, or you make yourself go to that scan.
Exactly.
You've been amazing. Thank you so much, because everything you've shared is so personal and it's so relatable, I think, for everyone to listen to. We do have a podcast tradition with one final question for you. Even though, obviously, you're still very much in the middle of your journey, if you could imagine that I'm not sat here and a younger version of you is sat here, 13, 18, wherever you want to put her on her journey, what would you say to her if you could speak to her?
I would say, trust your gut. You know your own body better than anyone, better than any medical professional. You know that there's something going on. Keep pushing, be open, honest, talk to people. Don't have shame or guilt or feel any stigma around your symptoms. No one cares about that anymore, because in a few years' time you're going to be telling everyone on the internet about your daily bowel habits and your sex life. So just keep going and you'll find that one person who listens to you.
Amazing advice. Really, really good advice. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
I loved our girl chat this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to hit the follow button wherever you're listening. To find out more about us or today's guest, then head to the show notes. Until next time, I'm Alexandra, and remember, it's not just a period.